Yeah, just an easier day today though, so not too bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, making the most of the weather.
good.
Have we all got the beer?
Yeah, I'm going to pour mine out when we
Excellent.
start.
All right, so I think we're going live now. So I am this evening joined by Kate, who's the communications and PR guru at Erdinger UK, and also joined with Tom Davies, who's a GB triathlete, professional triathlete, which is really exciting. I'm really looking forward, as a bit of a runner myself, I'm looking forward to hearing what it's like to be a professional. So really thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Erdinger, a little bit about what it's like to be a professional athlete sponsored by Erdinger. Really interested to know how much beer you get through, Tom. And yeah, and we'll see how it goes. So probably no longer than about sort of 20-25 minutes. We'll hear a bit of the backstory, but do you guys want to introduce yourselves first? Kate, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and what you do at Erdinger?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, welcome, and thank you for having us on tonight. That's fantastic.
Oh, you're welcome.
I've been a big fan of Erdinger for a lot of years. And I've worked in hospitality in various guises in a kind of a PR capacity. And I've been lucky enough to work with Erdinger at several sort of stages along the way. So I've been working with them as a kind of a UK PR support for the last couple of years, across all of the different brands. Obviously, it's not just alcohol free, but because of the active schedule that we have with the beer, then there's something happening. Usually, most weeks. It's been a little bit different, obviously, but lots to get our teeth into, and really just kind of helping to spread the word and show how it can contribute to a kind of a healthy lifestyle.
Awesome, yeah, and how about you, Tom? Do you want to quickly introduce yourself, and we'll hear a little bit more from you in a bit.
Yeah, so I'm as I say, thanks for having us on. Yeah.
Well.
So as you mentioned, I'm obviously a professional triathlete. So I've been doing triathlon probably 5 or so years now. Started when I was at university at Loughborough, just alongside my studies, and the last few years since I graduated, it's sort of become a bit more serious and a bit more full time. And yeah, once I went full time, I was lucky enough to start with the Erdinger team, which you know is a great privilege in triathlon and in the sporting world. But yeah, I'm sure we'll touch a bit more on that a bit later on.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Excited to hear about that. So yeah, let's start off with you, Kate. Do you want to just talk us through a little bit about the brewery itself, the sort of history of the brewery? I know that Erdinger itself are based in Bavaria, aren't they, in Germany? Yeah, do you want to just let us know a little bit about it and how the alcohol-free came? But actually, before we do that, we should open the beer. I've already opened mine, and I know you're waiting.
I know. I was just going to say I'm going to start with the beer, or else I'm going to get really dry throat talking, aren't I?
I don't want to keep you waiting.
Well, I've got 2 variants here. So I've got the bottle, which is the kind of more usually seen one in the UK, and I've also got the can, which I think you two are probably both drinking out of.
I've got the can, yeah.
The bottle is as I say, more kind of widely seen. The can we use a lot at the events when we're sampling at triathlons or marathons. So the most important things, take the Erdinger glass. I've got the alcohol-free glass here. Important to, first of all, just rinse it through actually with water. It's something that a lot of people forget to do. I hate to say it, but this is one that I did earlier, so it's probably dried out a little bit. So do that just to make sure that you kind of get rid of any particles in there and you get a nice clean pour. And then open the bottle. Hope it doesn't go all over your laptop. And how we pour is hold the glass at about 45-degree angle, pour very slowly, and don't let the neck of the bottle touch either the glass or the beer as it goes in. So you keep pouring slowly. I'm pouring it too quickly there just because it's exciting. I think you can see it.
Oh yeah, nice.
And you see the sort of heads come up.
Yeah.
But then the key to it is as well, and again, a lot of people won't do this, but you just keep about an inch of liquid in the bottom of the bottle before you finish, and just swirl it very gently. So you swirl it round, and that just picks up the last of the yeast that's in the bottle. And by doing that, you just get the slightly fuller flavour in the head, and it just contributes to that lovely white foam head.
That's amazing. That's such a great tip. I had no idea.
There we go.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen they do it in my local pub, and they have the glasses like you've got there, and yeah, I've seen them do it in there, but I've never noticed this. They've never done the swirling before. I have to tell them that.
Absolutely, trade secret. So Prost.
Excellent.
Cheers,
yeah,
everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
And yeah, that head is so important, isn't it? Because yeah,
it is. And when, I don't know if you can see it here, but the bubbles there kind of rising up really, really nicely into the head, and with swirling the yeast there, it will just help retain that head for a little bit longer as well.
Oh, nice. That's really good to know. Yeah, that's a great tip.
There's a start.
Yeah. And so what sort of flavors and stuff are we getting here then? I know obviously it's a wheat beer, so
yep,
getting a bit sweet, wheaty.
Yep, a very kind of rich malt flavour.
Yeah, definitely the malt, yeah.
Slightly spicy.
Yeah, you get a bit of that sort of like banana-y, you know, like you get in the Belgian beers, yes. Quite similar to that.
And you should get that on the aroma and the taste. Maybe even a hint of cloves as well.
Yeah, and it's really kind of full-bodied, isn't it? As well, it's not you know, it's not thin. You know, some of the alcohol-free beers are quite thin, but you know, it's this really nice mouthfeel to it, and yeah,
it's nice and fresh and sort of tingling as well with that mouthfeel.
Definitely, and I think like you know, I've seen it at the end of the marathons and stuff in the past, and I'm sure Tom can talk about this later. But like that, it's that perfect sort of, it's just the right balance. It's not too heavy, but it's refreshing, and yeah, and it's but there's enough to it to make it kind of feel special. It's not just it's fantastic. So yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about the beer and about the brewery?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll kick off with the brewery, shall I? As you say, it's in Bavaria, heart of wheat beer production. Founded in 1886 in a little town called Erding, which is around 20 miles northeast of Munich. So it's right in that territory. If anybody ever gets the chance to go and have a look at the brewery, then I really would encourage you. It's a lovely little town, very traditional Bavarian, and you know, very welcoming around the brewery. So it's 1886. It actually became Erdinger Weissbrau in 1949. So it had a change of name from the original one it had. The current owner, Werner Brombach, actually started working there in 1965.
Oh, wow.
And he really kind of led the charge into expanding the sales. So it was the first time around that time that it was actually sold outside of Bavaria. So they'd kept it very, very much sort of close to home. It wasn't until the 1970s that they started exporting out of Germany. Austria and Italy, I think, were the first countries, and it was about in the 1980s when we first had it in the UK. Okay. They've had a new brew house built to cope with demand. They had a new bottling line opened just, I think, 4 years ago. I'll just look up the facts here. They can now fill up to 165,000 bottles per hour.
Wow. I guess they have to, like, with the demand sort of globally now for it. Such a recognizable brand. And it is. I think it is pretty much. It's in America, isn't it, as well? Is it now, or is it all over the place? Yeah.
It's in nearly 100 countries. So.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And
far
it's and wide.
Pretty much like so. I think because I do the monthly boxes, and usually it's kind of I don't know, like independent breweries and stuff. But because I love this one so much, I put it in there. But it is one that you can get in the supermarket. It's one that it's so commonly seen now, which is fantastic.
And I think in the CGA, the market research company, I think they had alcohol-free down as the 5th biggest selling alcohol-free beer in the UK in terms of volume sales.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised.
certainly up there.
Yeah.
And it's still a privately owned brewery, so that's something that they hold very dear.
And it's still a great beer, and I imagine the recipe probably hasn't changed that much either in the
I can't tell you because they don't tell me.
No, I bet it's trade secret.
Trade secret, absolutely. I mean, they do they have an absolute they're guided by the quality, so they brew according to the Bavarian purity law. So the ingredients and the quality are absolutely top notch. They're not compromised in any way. They brew every bottle, every keg of beer on site at Erding. They don't kind of license it out. Again, they're able to control that quality really closely.
And it's amazing, like you say, seeing it, like having kegs as well, like seeing it in the shop, seeing it in the pubs, and then also seeing it at the end of the races and stuff as well. And I think for a lot of people, that might be their first taste of alcohol-free beer. Like when you finish, I think it was Manchester Marathon I did, and at the end there they were giving it out, and that was the first time I'd ever had alcohol-free beer. And I know it's probably the same for a lot of people, but I think it says on the can it's got vitamin B12, and I know that's a big selling point is the isotonic element of it. Hence why they've got all the connections to the athletics and like with Tom with the triathlon as well. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of special ingredients that are in there?
As I say, I mean, it's the standard ingredients. So we've got the water is drawn from the wells underneath the brewery, and they choose very specific sort of wheat varieties, hops from the Hallertau region, and they propagate their own yeast in the Erding brewery. So absolutely kind of natural.
So all very kind of micro, like all from within and all local, and that's amazing.
Very much so.
And I know like the Bavarian water is like so highly regarded, isn't it? It's just like why you get so many amazing breweries in Bavaria.
That's right. It's a very high concentration out there. So. But yes, as you say, it's got B9 and B12 vitamins in, both sort of helping reduce tiredness. B12 promotes energy metabolism. So, I think it was in the early 2000s where they first promoted alcohol-free as an isotonic drink for recovery, because of these qualities that it has. And the isotonic properties, I'm not a biologist, but basically isotonic drinks have the same osmotic pressure as human blood. So it means that the constituent parts can kind of flow freely through the membrane and enter the bloodstream directly. So your body's not having to compensate for allowing things through, and can absorb the nutrients and the water and minerals much more quickly. So hence why it kind of helps you recover when you've been exercising.
Amazing. That's really interesting. Well, let's hear then how that is in practice then. So
handing over to Tom at this point.
So Tom, first off, I'm really interested to know how did you start off to become involved in Erdinger, and then maybe you could go on to tell us about how it helps your recovery.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, as I say, I sort of was doing triathlon at a fairly decent level, sort of through my university career, I suppose you call it, time at university. But that was more focused on the sort of, for those that know triathlon, sort of the draft legal. So you ride in bunches on the bike and that side of things. So that format of triathlon. And then when I finished university, I then started to move more towards what people probably know as triathlon, as sort of the Ironman and the half Ironman distances. And I did a couple of events in the UK, and as I'm sure a few people know, Erdinger provide the recovery drinks at the end of quite a lot of UK races, which is great. And I sort of just got talking to Pete and the team sort of there, and it sort of happened quite naturally. Start the first year, sort of I wasn't officially part of the team, but I was using the alcohol fry anyway. And then sort of the start of 2020 was when I properly joined the team. So it was only sort of just over a year that I've been officially part of Erdinger.
And what does that involve then, being part of the team then officially? Like how does that what does that mean for you? What does it mean for them?
So I suppose in a normal year it would look very different to what 2020 was.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously last year I didn't get to do a lot of the stuff that being involved with the team sort of entails. There's normally a training camp in Lanzarote or somewhere in sort of January, February time where all the triathletes, most of the guys are German based. It's quite nice for us to sort of all get together and have a week or two of some decent training and some photos and that sort of thing. But obviously that didn't happen.
It wasn't great, was it?
No, not at all. No, but so I'm looking forward to all this stuff when it all opens up again, hopefully.
So what has it been? So what you just been keeping your fitness level up, or have you managed? Has there been any sort of events?
Yeah, so obviously I think there was no events in the first half of last year. I was quite lucky in that I managed to do a couple September, October last year. And then I went and did the World Champs in December over in the USA in Daytona, racing around the speedway. So that was quite cool.
Nice.
So at least I got to show off the Erdinger blue tri-suit, which is quite iconic in a few races. Hopefully sort of this year races are starting in a few weeks' time. I've got the first one off in Gran Canaria.
Okay.
So hopefully this year I'll be able to. It'll be a little bit more, a standard year, I suppose.
Yeah. What is a sort of like if you're gearing up for an event like you got coming up, what does your day look like then? How much training are you doing? Like, and then when does the beer get involved? Is that during, or is that in the evening, or how does?
So I'll start with the beer. So it tends to be, you tend to have it after a session. It tends to be, after those long hard sessions, as Kate already touched on.
Almost like a reward, like a nice beer, like you could have a beer, but knowing that you've got those benefits as well. Yeah,
and I suppose it takes the place of, you get these standard recovery drinks that I always, I never particularly think they're the best tasting things. It's more of a case of you use them because you want the benefit of recovering, rather than because you want to use them. Whereas it's almost, as you say, it's almost a reward and something you have an alcohol free, almost out of choice, I suppose, as opposed to a necessity, which is what standard recovery drinks can be. I during a session, I tend to leave it for afterwards, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
a little bit too heavy just for. I think ultimately during the session.
It is still beer, isn't it? Like, even though it's alcohol free, it's still like, I think it's hard to disassociate yourself with the fact that it's still a beer. And So what does your training look like at the moment?
So I mean, obviously, every day is slightly different. I suppose it very rarely changes. In most days, I'll do a swim, I'll cycle, and I'll go for a run.
Okay.
So it tends to be pretty intense. And training, I tend to sort of structure it weekly. So I suppose, a standard week is anything from 25 hours of training, swim, bike, and run at the start of the year, sort of January, February. I suppose now I'm sort of into that bulk of getting race fit, I suppose, with races sort of 3-4 weeks away. So it's been pushed up to, I don't know, 30 maybe 35 hours on a really big week.
And have you been able to train with anybody else, or are you just training by yourself still at the moment?
Yeah, so I've been quite lucky in that actually I've been based in Loughborough at the university still for the last couple of years. Okay. And because I train there so obviously Loughborough is sort of a home for British swimming, British triathlon, and quite a few of the Olympic programs. So I've been quite lucky in that the facilities there have stayed open. So I've still been obviously we've not been able to train as groups as much, and there's still been all the the social distancing and all the protocols in place for that. But we've been lucky that we've still had access to the facilities, which is a lot more than most have had, I suppose. So it has been different, and we haven't been able to cycle with people or go for a run with people. We try to keep ourselves safe, and also sort of not abuse that privilege, I suppose, that we've had of being able to train.
That is great though. You've still been able to use the facilities and keep your training up. That's fantastic. So remind us again, when's the next one?
So I think it's the 24th of April. So what's that? Three weeks, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get out to Gran Canaria and get a little bit of sun.
That's that'd be
Make us jealous.
Yeah. Sorry about
Send us a postcard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, best of luck with that. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
And thank you, Kate, as well. I really appreciate you both coming on and talking to me about the beer and a bit about the sort of background of it and the social element of it as well. So thank you.
No worries. I mean, if anybody isn't doing already, then please do follow us on social media.
Yeah. I know on the Friday they do the big giveaway, don't they?
Yes. So, there's always a Friday giveaway, but there's quite often, events and promotions and merchandise and things on the general Twitter and Facebook accounts.
And wasn't there a big push you did a running thing recently? That was Erdinger sort of backed. Was it a 5K run? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did a promotion with a charity called 5K Your Way, Move Against Cancer, which was actually co-founded by Lucy Gossage, who is again a former pro triathlete, one of Tom's compatriots. She's also an oncology cancer specialist, and they promote the benefits of moving for cancer patients, their family, and so on. And instead of being kind of, this is just a beer for dry January, it absolutely isn't. It's Erdinger Alcohol-Frei is a beer for the whole year, part of a healthy lifestyle. So instead of doing a kind of a dry January promotion, we partnered with 5K Your Way, and we invited people to run or walk or stagger or whatever, according to their ability. I staggered because I'm a bit slow.
Just getting out and enjoying it.
Absolutely. And donate to the charity. So we helped raise some funds for them. But it's very much about that kind of ethos of people participating, joining in together. Why we're at so many events over the summer when they're running, with a glass of Erdinger Alcohol-Frei at the end to kind of get people over the finishing line. I've been to so many where people have said, I've been on a cycle, 20 odd miles. It's been really tough going. It's been windy. The only thing that kept me going was the thought of a glass of Erdinger Alcohol-Frei at the end. So
yeah, definitely.
Part and parcel.
Well, yeah, I'm guilty of that as well. Definitely. Thank you so much, and I'm going to put this out as a podcast and stuff as well, so people can tune in into it at any point. So really appreciate it. yeah, and we'll make sure we enter those competitions and follow you, and hopefully
Please
everyone
do.
gets the chance to enjoy it after some exercise.
It's all worthwhile.
Super. Thanks, guys. Have a
All
nice
right.
evening.